The movie opens with Gib getting into a taxi, soon joined by her brother and his group of rowdy friends. As the vehicle fills up, Gun, already occupying the front seat, has to make room for Ping by straddling the gear stick. Poor lad. When the trip begins, the taxi driver grows frustrated with a slow-moving truck ahead, dubbing it a crawler, and impulsively races past it. Spotting a Songthao shuttle, he engages in a reckless competition, ignoring the students' pleas to slow down. He'd rather crash and burn than lose, he boasts, terrifying his passengers. The driver speeds ahead, eventually passing the shuttle. But his triumph is short-lived as a student points out that the shuttle had stopped to drop off a passenger, and that's why he could surpass it. Meanwhile, the boy sandwiched between the gear stick winces in pain each time the driver shifts gears, eliciting giggles from the others. Gib and her brother finally get out of the taxi as they reach home, where his friends tease him about his groans throughout the taxi ride. Moments after entering the house, their mother asks Gib to go on an errand to buy some pork and kawa leaves. Despite her protests of fatigue, her mother insists. Gib reluctantly hops on her motorbike, but her journey is halted when the tires burst, leaving her stranded. Gib, stranded on the road, is pushing her bike when a boy named Tor passes by on a bike. The girl sees him and immediately tries to hide her face. It is almost like she knows him and is trying to avoid confrontation. She tries to act nonchalant as if there is no issue, but he notices the flat tire and returns to assist her. He takes her to his workshop, where he begins to repair her burst tires. However, when Tor realizes a girl is in search of him, he makes an attempt to flee, with Gib hoping in the back seat. They speed through the streets, evading the pursuer. Tor's quick escape leaves the girl lost, unable to catch up. Tor stops at a bridge, where Gib confronts him, demanding to know why he's fleeing and who the pursuing girl is. After Tor's evasive explanations, Gib discovers the truth. The mysterious girl is Tor's ex. Enraged, Gib takes her bike and speeds away, leaving Tor standing alone and pleading for her return. Gib returns home empty-handed, much to the dismay of her mother, who had sent her to buy pork. Meanwhile, Gun and his friends embark on a mini-adventure to obtain a comic book from Ping. They arrive at her house, anxious to collect the comic book, but are dismayed to find it swollen and wet. Ping explains that the comic had accidentally fallen into the toilet bowl while taking a dump. Mon is enraged by the state Ping is returning the book in. He's even more upset that Ping is trying to pay for the damages. Mon and Ping get into a little fight, but the group separates them. In a rush, they head to the comic shop to return the damaged book. They attempt to dry it by lighting a candle, but their efforts are interrupted by the shop owner, Mal, Watt's dad. Caught off guard, they try to conceal the swollen book, but Mal's intimidating presence causes them to fumble and drop the book, revealing its bad condition. Fortunately, Mal assumes it's a delivery error and doesn't suspect their involvement. The group is lucky to get away with this one. They breathe a sigh of relief, narrowly avoiding trouble, and each scram to their own places. Later, Gib wakes up to find water leaking from the air conditioner in her room. She hears the mailman outside and rushes to meet him, eager to collect the mail she's expecting. Her father, puzzled by her eagerness, teases her, suggesting she's waiting for a letter from her boyfriend. But Gib dismisses the idea, pointing out that no one sends letters anymore. Meanwhile, at school, Gun harbors a secret crush on Ping and seeks out information about her from his friend, Sarah. As they discuss Ping, she appears on a skateboard, captivating Gun's attention. However, she loses her balance and nearly falls. Gun rushes to her aid, but another boy beats him to it, swooping in to rescue Ping just in time like a knight in shining armor. Ping, unimpressed by Bank's rescue attempt, dismisses him. Gun, eager to impress her, seizes the opportunity and hops on her skateboard, trying to look cool while returning it. However, his attempt at heroism backfires as he slips and falls, and the skateboard rolls away, getting crushed under a vehicle's tires, leaving Ping angry and Gun embarrassed. Gun's friends rush to his side, helping him up and scolding him for his reckless attempt to impress Ping. Before they can lecture him further, a furious Ping storms over, her broken skateboard in hand, and tosses the mangled remains at Gun's feet, demanding him to fix it. On the other side, Gib discovers Tor with her mother and becomes a little angry. Her mother reveals that Tor had been helpful to her ever since Gib was off to college. Meanwhile, Gun's efforts to repair Ping's skateboard are met with failure, leading to growing frustration and desperation as he struggles to make amends. Back on the other hand, Tor and Gib work together on the errands. Tor seizes the chance to address a lingering issue. He confronts Gib about her sudden disappearance from their online conversations on MSN in 10th grade, leaving him wondering if they're still friends. However, Gib just blatantly ignores him. As Gib prepares to head home with her mother, she's suddenly tasked with a new responsibility. Her mother instructs her to accompany Tor to collect payments from the market, emphasizing the need for Gib to contribute and make herself useful now that she's around. Gib's mother also expresses curiosity about Gib's prolonged presence, implying that she hadn't anticipated her daughter's extended visit. The girl looks somewhat startled at this and quickly complies, in order to evade further questioning. As Tor and Gib travel together, Gib's irritation with Tor's presence grows, despite his attempts to connect with her. She blames her frustration on being stuck in the vehicle with him due to her lack of driving skills, but Tor's suggestion that she should learn only leads to further rebuffs. Gib's persistent shutting down of Tor's efforts to communicate only creates an awkward and tense atmosphere in the vehicle. As they drop off Gunn at school, Tor points out the billboard featuring Gib's academic achievements from 4 years ago, still proudly displayed. He seems impressed and nostalgic, but Gib remains nonchalant, showing no reaction. Tor quickly shifts his attention to their errand, asking Gib about the remaining tasks or items they need to acquire, attempting to move past the awkwardness and tension between them. At school, Gunn has a quiz and sleeps through it. He wakes up at the last minute and relies on his friends to help him out. As the time runs out, they rush to submit their papers, but their attempted deception is quickly exposed. The teacher confronts them about copying each other's work, which they vehemently deny. However, the teacher cleverly points out the obvious mistake. All 3 papers have the same name written on them. Yeah, they clearly didn't copy at all. The teacher fails them. As Tor and Gib take a break to enjoy some snacks, Gib gazes out at the familiar street, only to realize that the studio she once knew is no longer there. Tor fills her in on the change, revealing that they're now in Chiang Mai. As they sit in the car, the scene seamlessly shifts to a flashback of their high school days, transporting them back to a time when life was simpler and their friendship was quite innocent. Back then, Tor and Gib were having a little garage band moment, singing, screaming, and playing the guitar. The scene shifts back to the present, and the two enter a bookstore, browsing through shelves and reminiscing. However, their nostalgia is disrupted when the store owner confronts Tor about his past mischiefs, accusing him of potentially reverting to old habits. Tor assures him he's changed, but the owner remains skeptical. His eyes shift to Gib and he immediately asks if the two are finally a thing, which they quickly deny. Gib rudely tells him to lose weight, or he will pass away, and storms off. Sensing the obvious tension between them, as well as Gib's sudden strange anger tantrum, the owner astutely asks Tor if they're fighting. Back at home, Gib and her family are seated at the dinner table when Gunn arrives. He accuses Gib of storming out on Tor and asks if they are fighting, but Gib refuses to answer straight. His mother confronts Gunn about his failed English test, revealing that his teacher had informed her. Getting the chance, Gib taunts Gunn, attributing his failure to his foolery of chasing girls. Angry, their mother sternly addresses it, emphasizing the importance of academic focus, and saying that girls would only be interested in someone proficient in English. Later that night, Gib's thoughts drift back to her high school days, recalling a moment when she lent Tor a comic book. She happily asks him if he likes it, only to be told that he didn't. It seems quite evident that she really liked the comic and wished that Tor would like it too, but the boy somehow fails to show some respect towards her feelings. Gib's frustration and rage mount even more the next morning, when she discovers Gunn has taken her mail to the English camp. Desperate to retrieve it, she pleads with her mother to drive her there, but her mother insists that Tor take her instead. With no other option, Gib hastily seeks out Tor, finding him preparing to leave for the English camp with his mother, who will be serving food there. Gib jumps into the vehicle, urgency etched on her face, prompting Tor to quickly follow suit, unaware of the reason behind her sudden request. With his mother in tow, they set off towards the English camp. At the English camp, Gunn and his friends celebrate their collective failure, united in their mischief. As the ceremony commences, everyone prepares to pray. However, just then, Gib bursts in, frantically calling out for Gunn, disrupting the proceedings. Realizing her interruption, she apologizes and quickly exits. Later, she assists Tor and his mother with serving food outside. Gunn and his friends are enjoying themselves at the English camp, participating in activities, and even befriending a new companion, George, who has a peculiar accent. However, their merriment is abruptly interrupted by Gib's sudden arrival. She forcefully takes Gunn aside and demands her letter, revealing its importance. Gunn, aware of the letter's contents, negotiates with Gib, offering to return it only if she agrees to help him direct a play, House of Golden Sand, at the camp. Gib reluctantly assists Gun with his play, fulfilling her part of the agreement. Expecting to finally retrieve her letter, she approaches Gun, only to be met with a new demand. Gun, seemingly enjoying the power dynamic, requests that Gib bring him a bowl of noodles with 6 eggs, further exploiting his sibling. Gib's frustration and resentment towards Gun's persistent extortion attempts grow, but she's left with no other option, as she desperately needs to retrieve the letter from him. Now desperate to fulfill Gun's demand, Gib seeks out Tor's help, pleading with him to prepare the noodles. Tor, who is getting ready to sleep, refuses to assist unless Gib reveals the reason behind her request. After hearing about the letter, the jealous Tor gets dangerously close and asks Gib if it's from her boyfriend. However, he soon gets flustered and quickly agrees to her demand. Poor man in love just can't seem to refuse her. She presents the noodles to Gun, who is surrounded by his friends and demands her letter in return. However, Gun delays, wanting to enjoy his food first. Gib, fed up with his games, threatens to reveal his crush on Ping if he doesn't produce the letter immediately. Gun, startled by her ultimatum, claims the letter is in his bag. Gib quickly grabs Tor and they rush to the boys' hostel to fetch the letter. In the meantime, Gun and his friends are coerced into playing a game by the girls, who threaten to report them for viewing graphic content if they refuse. Reluctantly, they agree to play a game of summoning a spirit, which initially seems harmless. However, as they progress, they start to feel an eerie presence, and their jests turn to terror. Panicked, they try to quit the game, but it's too late. A sudden flash of a figure appears at the window, sending the group into a frenzy of fear. They hastily flee the room, abandoning the game and their courage. The terrified group, still reeling from their paranormal encounter, crosses paths with Tor and Gib, who are confused by their frantic state. Gun and his friends claim to have seen a ghost, with written all over their faces. Suddenly they realize Ping is missing, and Gun bravely returns to rescue her. They find Ping trapped by a malevolent spirit, pleading for help. As a result of struggling, she falls into the water. Gun, selfless and in love, jumps into the water to save Ping. The group rallies to rescue both Gun and Ping, and after a harrowing struggle, they manage to pull them to safety. As they catch their breath, Gib notices a strange hand-like thing attached to Gun's hand, which triggers a collective scream, and the group disperses in chaos. The aftermath of the previous day's events finds Ping expressing her gratitude to Gun for his brave attempt to rescue her, despite his inability to swim. As the group prepares to return home, George bids them farewell and asks them to come back next year too. As Gib and Tor drive the kids back, Gib playfully teases Tor about his alleged scream the previous night, but Tor denies it. He claims Gib is mistaken and heard wrong. Just then, he hands her the letter, the content that reveals her expulsion from school, leaving Gib distraught and tearful for the rest of the ride. Tor, noticing her distress, offers a supportive hand, providing her comfort in her moment of need. The group's return home is followed by a chaotic morning for Gib, who faces a clogged toilet, yet again. Tor lends a hand, attempting to plunge it, while expressing concern about her well-being after reading the expulsion letter. Gib brushes off his inquiry, saying that she would only feel calm if her shit goes down. Growing frustrated with the delay, Gib impulsively grabs caustic soda and pours it into the toilet. Despite his warning that it's a toilet, not a clogged pipe, the damage has already been done, and the toilet starts bubbling furiously. Tor quickly shuts the lid, containing the mess. Just then, some guests arrive and Gib rushes to greet Auntie Shri and Book. Book's curious gaze falls on Tor, who emerges from the bathroom after Gib, leading Book to wonder about their seemingly compromising situation. Gib swiftly intervenes, clarifying that Tor was simply assisting her with the clogged toilet, dispelling any misconceptions. As the conversation unfolds, Book's eyes widen in recognition, and he connects the dots to their 7th grade days. With a hint of surprise, he asks Tor if he's now a plumber, referencing Tor's notorious academic struggles, specifically his streak of failing 8 subjects in a row. Tor's face flushes with embarrassment as he hastily corrects Book, revealing that he's actually pursuing music studies at the university. As they gather around the table to eat, Book's mother proudly shares his achievement in representing their school in a firefighting robot contest. Gib's mother, not to be outdone, boasts about her daughter's accomplishments in computer engineering and participation in various software contests. However, Book quickly pierces the inflated claims, revealing that he hasn't seen Gib at any of those contests. Tor, sensing a need to step in, swiftly intervenes, diverting Book's attention to the food, encouraging him to try a dish, and skillfully shifting the focus away from Gib's false achievements. The situation escalates into further chaos as Book requests Gibb's assistance in developing software for firefighting robots. But Gibb fabricates a tale about working on electric fans that transform into planes, a claim Tor supports despite its absurdity. The drama intensifies when Book offers to drive Gibb back to school, only for Gibb's mother to announce that the school has been closed for a month due to college games, a statement that Book almost challenges until Tor swiftly intervenes, stuffing shrimps into Book's mouth to silence him and prevent further scrutiny of Gibb's dubious claims. The chaos reaches a new level as Book, overwhelmed by the spicy food, dashes to the toilet, only to encounter the same clogged toilet that Gibb had attempted to fix earlier. The caustic soda Gibb had added earlier causes the toilet to burst, and there's a loud explosion heard from the dining. His cries for help prompt his mother to rush to his aid. On the other side, Gunn and his friends prepare to visit Miss Moricott, a famous personality from the magazines they always read, but Watt's delivery obligations force him to miss the initial gathering. The group heads to Gunn's uncle's resort, with Gibb tagging along due to Gunn's mom's insistence. As they settle in, Gunn's attempt to confess his feelings to Ping takes a disastrous turn. First, he and his friends accidentally cut off the power, and his heartfelt singing is met with Ping's indifference, as she simply gets up and walks away, citing a need to use the restroom. Gunn is left devastated. His sister Gibb ridicules him, and Sarah offers words of wisdom, suggesting he should have sought her advice before making such a bold move. Tragedy strikes the group as Gunn and his friends receive the devastating news of Watt's sudden passing. In their grief, they decide to honor their friend's wish by traveling to Bangkok, a dream Watt never got to fulfill. Gunn, overcome with emotion, takes his father's car without permission, and the group sets off on their journey. Meanwhile, Gunn's father reports the car stolen, and Gibb searches for her brother. She finally finds him on the streets. She tries to reason with Gunn, urging him to return home and forget about these weird desires, but Gunn's determination to fulfill Watt's dream prevails. Despite Gibb's protests, Gunn remains resolute, driven by the pain of his loss and the desire to celebrate his friend's memory. Tor, moved by compassion, sees Gunn's dedication to his deceased friend, and so he takes the wheel, determined to help them fulfill Watt's dream. Gibb, still in the dark about the purpose of the trip, joins them hesitantly. As the darkness of the night surrounds them, Tor shares the tragic story of Watt's passing with Gibb. With a heavy heart, he recounts how Watt, who had been a tremendous help in the garage, had been struck by a bus while making deliveries on his bike. Gunn and his friends in the back of the truck are overcome with emotion, tears flowing freely as they mourn the loss of their dear friend Watt. Memories of their last moments with him come flooding back. His enthusiasm when he got the bus tickets, and his eagerness to make the deliveries so he could join them on their adventure. They remember how he had left them earlier, full of life and excitement, never imagining it would be their last goodbye. The emotional journey to Bangkok continues, with Gibb's phone call from her worried mother interrupting the somber mood. Gibb reassures her mother that she has everything under control, but her calm demeanor is short-lived. As she turns to Tor, she's shocked to see him dozing off behind the wheel. Her quick reflexes kick in, and she jolts him awake, causing Tor to snap back to consciousness with a start. The sudden movement startles the grieving friends in the back, as Tor, who has just woken up, struggles to keep the vehicle in balance. As the night wears on, the group adjusts their positions, with Gibb and Tor retreating to the back to catch some rest. Gunn takes the wheel, but his uncertainty about the route to Bangkok becomes apparent. He turns to his friend in the passenger seat for guidance, only to receive a vague instruction to just follow the car in front of them, hoping it'll lead them to Bangkok. Gunn's trust in his friend's logic is questionable, but he decides to go along with it, hoping for the best. The car ahead becomes their makeshift guide. Gunn and his friends tail the car ahead, unaware of the chaos they're about to unleash. The drivers of the lead car, mistakenly believing they're being pursued by the police, panic and dispose of their illegal goods, speeding away in fear. Gunn and his friends, perplexed by the sudden escape, give chase. The men decide to take out their guns in panic, but then they ultimately settle to surrender. Meanwhile, the kids in the truck, oblivious, pass by the men, filled with and anxiety. The men in the car return to retrieve their discarded goods, astonished that they weren't apprehended by the police. The journey finally comes to an end as Tor takes the wheel and safely drives the group to Bangkok. The next morning, the boys wake up to the thrilling realization that they've arrived in the city. With renewed energy and excitement, they set out to fulfill Watt's dream, heading to Miss Moricott's magazine company. With Watt's letter in hand, they eagerly approach the building, only to be met with a harsh reception. The front desk attendant, far from welcoming, swiftly calls security on them, dashing their hopes and leaving them stunned and disappointed. The resourceful group turns to Gib for help, relying on her quick thinking to provide a solution for them. Tor and Gib hatch a plan, with Gib posing as a potential model to gain entry into the magazine company. The tactic works, and the front desk attendant, eager to capitalize on Gib's supposed potential, ushers her into a photo shoot. However, Gib's unorthodox posing style, far from captivating, leaves the photographer and the attendant bewildered and frustrated. The assistant remarks that Gib's poses would make men impotent. Tor, amused at everything, tells Gib that she does look like a model, but only when she is not posing. As Gib's diversionary tactic creates chaos in the photo shoot, Gunn and his friends seize the opportunity to sneak into the building, determined to find Miss Moricott. They burst into another room, interrupting a photo shoot in progress, causing even more pandemonium. The front desk attendant, exasperated by the mayhem, summons security to apprehend the intruders. Just as all hope seems lost, Miss Moricott herself appears on the scene, drawn by the commotion. The group's faces light up with joy and relief as Gunn finally gets the chance to deliver Watt's letter to his idol. Gunn, who is overwhelmed with emotion, reads out Watt's heartfelt letter aloud to Miss Moricott. The words pour out, revealing Watt's deep admiration for her, how her smile lit up his world on his darkest days. The letter is a tribute to the impact she had on his life. Miss Moricott's expression softens, touched by his words, as she's deeply moved by Watt's sincerity. She's touched by the group's dedication to honoring their friend's memory and fulfilling his dream. With a warm smile, she thanks them, grateful for their determination. The group shares a heartfelt moment with Miss Moricott, capturing the memory with a warm group photo. As they bid her farewell, they head to their final destination, a special stop for Sarah and Ping. With emotional determination, Sarah releases birds in memory of Big, her friend Ping by her side, offering support and comfort. With their mission complete, the group begins their journey back, reflecting on their experiences. Gib opens up to Tor, admiring the carefree spirit of Gunn and his friends, envying their ability to live in the moment. Tor, sensing her introspection, asks about her plans, and Gib suggests a visit to Chantaburi City, with a mischievous smirk on her face. There, Gib sets ablaze the banner that has her picture detailing her top grades. Happy with her craft, she comes to sit on the sidewalk, eating ice cream and watching her shackles burn down. Soon, the authorities arrive, and the friends are arrested for theft of government property. The scene shifts to a somber gathering of parents, their faces etched with disappointment and concern. Gib's mother is stunned, not only by her daughter's involvement, but also by her revelation that she's being expelled due to struggles with engineering, a field she was never truly passionate about. Her mother is left speechless and hurt by this revelation. The atmosphere is still tense as Gib's mother walks away, her disappointment and shock evident. Gib, overcome with emotion, bursts into tears, feeling the weight of her lost expectations. Gunn, trying to offer some comfort, attempts to lighten the mood by joking about their mother no longer holding Gib up as a role model. However, the mood remains somber as they return home, where Gunn is grounded. The rift between Gib and her mother remains, with her mother still reeling from the revelation. When Gib tries to reason, she shouts at her daughter to just go to Canada and help her aunt work if she doesn't want to study. On the other hand, Tor gets a shocking revelation. His eyes widen in astonishment as the truth finally dawns on him. He recalls the comic book Gib had lent him in high school, and how his mother had grabbed it, with threats of selling it to a bookstore, unaware that it contained her heartfelt confession of a crush on him. He remembers replacing it with a new copy, and how Gib had asked him if he had read it, to which he had casually replied that he didn't like it, not realizing the significance of the original book. The coincidence is striking, as Sarah and her friend are now reading the very same original copy that Tor had lost, revealing the secret that Gib had kept hidden for so long. Tor's expression reflects his regret and surprise, as he finally knows Gib's feelings for him, and the misunderstanding that had gone unresolved for so long. Tor, determined to make amends and reveal his true feelings, sets out to find Gib, only to discover that she's bound for Canada. Meanwhile, Gunn, eager to confess his feelings to Ping, arrives at her house, but she's nowhere to be found. In a chance encounter, Tor and Gunn cross paths, and Tor learns about Gib's departure, while Gunn discovers that Ping is headed to Chiang Mai. In a sense of urgency, both Tor and Gunn race against time to reach the ones they care about. The scene shifts into a frenetic pace, as Tor and Gunn embark on a quest to reunite with their loves. Gunn's determination to catch up with Ping leads to a witty misadventure. They find the same crazy taxi driver who loves racing with others as a challenge. The driver speeds away, leaving Gunn and Tor frustrated as their car breaks down. However, the taxi unexpectedly pulls over, allowing Gun to finally return Ping's skateboard and apologize for his past mistakes. Ping's unexpected compliment about his singing brings a smile to Gun's face, and they share a heartfelt goodbye. Ping continues her journey to Chiang Mai. The scene transitions to a bittersweet moment as Gun and his friends push the broken-down bus, while Tor drives slowly, lost in thought, replaying the memories he shared with Gib. Upon arriving home, Tor is tasked by Gib's mother to fix the air conditioning in Gib's room. Overwhelmed by emotions, Tor falls asleep in Gib's bed. Surprisingly, Gib returns, finding Tor asleep in her bed, and wakes him up, confused. Tor's question about her presence reveals that Gib didn't leave for Canada after all, but rather went to resign from college, and that her mother has come to accept her decision to pursue communication arts. Tor, finally getting the chance, expresses his true feelings. He tells Gib that he finally read the book and he really likes it. His heart falters as he is met with silence, and the poor, regretful man asks if it is too late. Finally, Gib smiles and lets him know that it isn't. Giddy with happiness, Tor embraces Gib, and they share a tender moment, promising to never let each other go again. Meanwhile, Gun and his friends pay tribute to their dear friend Watt by displaying the cherished photo with Miss Moricott. One of the boys says how he gave Miss Moricott a hug on Watt's behalf, and how Watt really missed out on the great chance. However, in that moment, the picture suddenly falls, and the group, startled, scatters in panic. Meanwhile, in the post-credits of the film, Gib finds some old recordings of Tor confessing that he had liked Gib. This was just right before she moved into the university at the time. The film ends with Gun and his friends continuing in their mischievous ways, stealing comics from Watt's father, and Gib and Tor's bond stronger than ever.